There I am. I just had to add myself to the stage. Sorry. We've had a great week so far. It's Monday. It had 70 some degrees today, and it's been a good day. Real good day. So right now it's 62 and cloudy here in the valley. We had some rain a little bit earlier, and we sorely needed it. So, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. Waiting for some more people to come in. So, hey, Randy, Keith, Mike for misbehaving. Can you hear me, Keith? Can anybody hear me? I hope so. Back to cold this week in Ohio. Hey, Danny. How cold did it get in Ohio, Vincent? Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate it all. Randy, how your bees doing? Hey, Roy. Mark. Glad y'all are in here. Did anybody catch the video that Bob Benny put out yesterday? It was pretty interesting. I was listening to it again tonight before we got started. So if you didn't, I would suggest that you go back and listen to it or watch it. I'm going to post a link in the chat for it. All right. That's a link to Bob Benny's video that he put out yesterday. It said more on the honeybee vaccination or vaccine. Pretty interesting on the queen vaccines that they've got out now. And the young lady and the gentleman that are on there are from the manufacturer of the queen vaccine. And they were talking about virus load as well as mite load. How those two graphs don't coincide with each other. The virus load is a slow catch up to the mite load, but the mite load, you can take care of that, but you still got to deal with the virus load and test for the virus load after that because it's a couple months behind it. So that's something that's new, a little bit new research that's come out from this company and from some other places that this has come out. Bob is still uncommitted about this vaccine, but he learned a few things too on this, and he did say that he did learn a few things from it. So it's good watch, really good watch, because at the end of it, they get to talking about the bee kill in California. And they've let out some things in this video about the bee kill that they're finding the virus load, the viral load was high. And also there are traces of nosema in the hives. So that's a good topic for discussion tonight, is virus loads and mite loads. Evening, Charlie. How are you today?
Not too bad.
Did you get some rain?
We just started getting here about a half an hour ago.
Yeah, it's a couple of good hard showers coming that way. They've been through here.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, Roy, Dodd, Dennis. You were talking about that virus thing. So you have the mites, and then so many months later, the virus load is.
If you take a graph,
Mhm.
and the graph of your mite load comes up and peaks here, and then it falls off. 2, 3, 4 months later, your viral load will peak, and then it will fall off. It's all the more reason to treat multiple times throughout the year and rotate your treatments. Because now they're saying it used to be 3 mites. Now they're saying 1 mite is too much.
Really?
Yeah.
And I can remember back when I started, if you got 12 mites, that's okay.
I remember when I started, there was no such thing as mites.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're talking about the viral load and the different viruses that it causes. I would like for everybody to go watch that video when we're done here tonight. And
yeah, it's pretty long. I didn't have time to do it Sunday.
Yeah, it's a 45-minute video, and Bob says at the beginning, a lot of people are hesitant to click on a video and watch a video of that length, but it's worth watching. There's a lot of good information in that video.
Well, I was trying to get into bees, get my bee work done in the last couple of days, and all that stuff. So,
yeah, we were in bees over the weekend. I was in them a little bit today. I got one that needs to be requeened. I found an emergency cell and 2 supersedure cells in it. And I went and dropped some queen pheromone on them today. Try to chill them out a little bit.
Yeah, Brian out there in Colorado, he watched it yesterday, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through mine, and I don't know. I found some hives that were a good population, but I wasn't crazy about the amount of brood that I found in a hive. Then I was thinking like the first 4, I don't know, 4 to 6 hives. I mean, yeah, they had brood, and yeah, there's population. And I'm wondering, well, years past, we had a mild February and we had a mild March, and then things would build up maybe a little bit better, a little bit faster. Hey, Nancy. And I was wondering whether that was an issue, or is it another queen issue? One of the hives there that had 2 or 3 frames, that one definitely is get rid of her. Let's put something in there.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to do all that. So the I think let's see. Yeah, that hive right there. Those hives are the better hives. Very good population. Did some Demarees on them. The new hives that I started last year in the double deeps, I condensed them down to 1 deep box, and then I threw a medium brood chamber or brood super, with brood frames in it on top of them. Hey, Sandy. And that kind of stuff. And so they're a deep and a medium for right now. So hopefully, I'm wanting her to come up into those mediums, and then I'll just throw another medium on top of that.
So Vincent, it's a pretty good statement, but I think
well, I'm doing that now.
I'm doing multiple treatments a year now, and I'm rotating treatments. It's common sense, and it's a good idea to do that, to treat and rotate your treatments throughout the year, because we don't want a resistance to build up to any one treatment.
We already got that with Apivar.
Yeah, we've already got it with one of them out there, so we don't need it with another one that we know of.
No, but I mean, for me, and so, all right, I have a treatment program that I've developed over just by experience and education. where like what honey season's over in July. Once I take my supers off, normally I would do Aprivar. Well, last year it showed me that Aprivar doesn't work anymore. I'm going to say that if I wasn't requeening at that time, I would do Apriguard, which is thymol, which is a, just like Bob Benny talks about, is a organic treatment. You do that, and then I always treat around Labor Day weekend, which is I use Formic Pro, formic acid, another organic.
Yep.
And then I start treating with OA. A lot of people do this. What is it? 5 treatments, 4 days apart. I just don't. I won't say I won't agree. I mean, if they get good results, that's fine. But with my experience, where I used to treat every week for so many weeks continuously until the time change, that proved out not to be good for the bees or me, because I had a lot of dead outs. So I started in the 1st of October, around the last of October, 1st of November, and I treat at least every other week continuously all the way through till January, because usually after that it's too cold. This year, February was too cold. I normally treat a couple of times in February, and I usually try to. Well, things are usually popping by March for me, but not this year. So I treated in March. I wasn't able to treat in February and January, but this year I did treat in March. Now the weather's finally changed. Here tomorrow's April 1st.
Yep.
And of course, if we're getting some rain here that was needed, we're in a drought condition. I haven't seen any dandelions or anything like that as far as any type of nectar flow. The only thing that's been coming in is maple pollen and maybe some maple nectar a little bit.
Yeah, I would rather, Randy, yes, I agree. The hive of bees is worth $250, and that's a lot of treatments. Yes, you're correct. I would rather take 150 to 175 of that 250 and put it towards treatments and do my best to keep them alive and to keep the virus load low as I can keep it, because I'm assuming you watched Bob's video. You know, they did state that if you're seeing deformed wing virus in your hive, it's already there. That hive's already infected, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, 21st Bees, I just happened to catch the email. I'll get back with you and send you my information. Did you get an email, Bill?
No, I didn't. So clay dandelions here are popping everywhere. They just started popping out today. So yard's starting to turn yellow. So I love it.
Down there where you're
Yep.
at? Right.
Yep. Just starting to turn yellow.
Well, like I say, I put some of the hives, I put supers on and Demaree them. I've seen a few cups, but I didn't really see a lot of cups either, you know.
Yeah, I saw like they always build start cups. None of them were charged. Now I did go into one of my hives. There was an emergency cell and 2 super-seeder cells. All 3 of them were charged. So I
think I did find out. I believe, I don't know. I mean, I was just kind of working through real quickly to kind of try to get everybody situated on the hives and stuff. I still got one. Yeah, you can either send 21st Bees an email.
Yeah.
You can go to his web. I went to his website and just put in my contact information and
yeah.
I did see a couple charge queens. So I think one of them might have been queenless. Didn't know it really at the time.
Yeah, these cells were hard to miss. So I didn't see any quote unquote swarm cells, but I did see the beginnings of cups, and they weren't charged. So you aren't spending.
Hey, Dwayne.
Oh no, not per hive, Sandy. I'm talking total for the apiary. That's what I know. Not 175 per hive. Sometimes I think it is, but it's not. Yeah, we've got some 30-degree low temperatures coming up here at night. Not during the day, but the nighttime temperatures are what is the killer. So it's supposed to get cold next week at night.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as treatment cost, I mean, OA is relatively reasonable. I mean,
yeah, OA is your cheapest.
Your Easy Ox is what, $20 for 14 ounces or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And or in the neighborhood. And
yeah, Randy's about right. $30 a hive if you have treat times. Yes, if you have that schedule like Charlie's got, like I've got, I treat on a quarterly basis. Charlie treats a little bit more, not more often than I do, but that quarterly basis seems to work out for us. So,
I mean, I'll have to say that probably Formic Pro with the tariffs is going to go up. So yeah, it's going to cost you some, but
yeah, Formic Pro's already gone up with the tariffs.
Look at it this way: if you get, let's say, just 50 pounds of honey off of one hive, and you get a minimum of $10 a pound, that's $500 income from that hive.
That's it.
And if you got, let's say, 10 hives, that's $5,000. You can take, let's say, $200 or $300, and have to buy Formic Pro, and then oxalic acid is pretty reasonable. Now I know somebody here was talking about I know what it was that was on Bruce's Bees down there. The guy was complaining about the price of a vaporizer, and he had 10 hives, and it was like an Instavap or something like that from Larabi's. And I'm like, well, you're talking between 35 and 45 pounds of honey for a tool that, now they've got that newer one. I'm not sure exactly what that one is price wise, but
it's about $350.
All right, that's 35 pounds honey.
Yeah. So if you don't,
that's one hive.
Yeah.
One hive out of 10, if you get 50 pounds per hive, will pay for it.
I'm going to stump my toe here.
Okay.
And maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway. Even if you don't buy a Larabi's Mini or a Compact, which is two of the lower end models there, and let's say you go out here and you buy a Mite vape from the fireman that made them, they're $150. Okay, $150 for a Mite vape. That works just as well. Well, I'm not going to say it that way. It works very well for what it is. Okay, works on the same kind of principle that the Larabi's works on. The difference is Larabi's has the plunger. It's more of a controlled dose. The Mite vape has that rubber cap that you put on it, and then you put it in the hive upside down and turn it upright. Now, you can weigh it out or you can measure it out for the Mite vape, and that cap only holds 2 grams. So if you're going to treat more than 2 grams, you got to treat twice at the same time.
Well, they were all like that, up until.
Yeah, they were all like that at one time.
My ProVap was fill the cap up, upside down, put it in, turn it back up,
Yep.
all that stuff.
Yep. So right there, Sandy at Icy Mountain, she got 100 pounds per hive last year. Sandy, how many hives you got?
Man, that's really good, Sandy.
Well, let's say she's got 10 hives. I'm just spitballing here. If she's got 10 hives,
got 4. So there's 400 pounds of honey.
That's 400 pounds of honey at $10 a pound. If that's what you're selling at, you're on the low end. If you're selling at $10 a pound, that's $4,000.
Yep. So anyway, I mean, they're, the bottom line of it is things are relatively affordable.
Yes, they are. They're still affordable. How many? All right, Danny's got a good question for you, Charlie, for your rolling Demaree.
How many days between frame rotations? Right now, I will have. All right, I set it up on a Sunday. I need to go back in there about 5 days or so, 6 days. Shake them brood frames off from the bees in there and check to see if there's any queen cells. And of course that's right at the top of the hive. And the ones I did, I mean, they're pretty much about almost 99% complete because the rest of it's pollen in there. And then I would say, well, they're capped, they're brown, they're not light brown. So it's 21 days. So I would say in the next 7 to 10 days, I need to get back in there and see whether or not those top frames are, hatched out.
Yeah.
And do it that way. And, but Danny, I'll say this. Is it a lot of work? Yeah, it's a lot of work. But do you, for me, I get on average of last year, I got an extra 30 pounds per hive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's $300 more out of that hive. It was 80 pounds per hive. It was the average of all the honey I got out of it. And that kind of thing. So I look at it. It's just like you working a 40-hour job. If you want to make extra money, you got to work overtime.
Yeah.
Well, doing a Demaree is kind of like working overtime.
Yeah.
And now I did do some video work. I had a terrible time this weekend. I did 4 different videos on 4 consecutive hives that were not all that wonderful. And of course, the battery's going lower and lower and lower. I get into this one hive, and I should have known better. I knew I wanted to do a Demaree. I knew that this hive was one of my best, strongest hives. And I guess I got so discouraged from the other 4 or 5 that I was in. And I was tired and that kind of thing. But anyway, I did get through a video. I've got another one out there. I believe it's quite strong. I want to when I make a video, I like to make a really good presentation. I want everybody to really understand how I do it. And that they get the gist of it so they can go home and do what they want to do with it. And good enough backyard beekeeping. That's exactly the way I do. I treat it like a business.
It is the business. When you become a beekeeper, whether you know it or not, or whether you want to admit it or not, you are in a small business. And you have to work it and record keep and everything else, just like you're in a big business if you want to be profitable.
Now, Dennis says, I won't buy an expensive vaporizer for 10 to 25 hives. Really? I'll tell you, when I could get a ProVap, and once I got beyond 4 hives or something like that, when I went from 10 minutes a hive to 2 minutes a hive at best, night and day. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah, The difference between a pan vapor, that old pan vaporizer you hook to a battery,
It was 10 minutes.
it's 10 to 12 minutes per hive, because you got to let it heat up, and then you put your OA in it. You put the pan in there. It's got to stay in there at least 8 minutes. So now you're at 10, and it's got to cool off another 2 minutes while you're in there. So you're at 12.
Mhm.
So
Dennis, it's like, it's whatever y'all want to do. That's fine. I'm just,
we're just putting the information out there for you. That's all we're doing.
yeah, I'm just giving you different opinions, and maybe you'll, have a different thought about it.
So, Brad, a tough day, hard day today at the office? It's so nice being a farmer and a beekeeper. You've got a great view of your office has a great view. You get to be outside. It's just a wonderful thing being a beekeeper. There you go, Jonathan. That's a great statement right there. That is a very good statement. That's right, Dennis. To each their own, and everybody, everybody's finances are different. We understand that. So that's why we're just putting the information out there, and you do with it what you want. That's
And then bring up Dennis here, the last one.
yeah. Yeah.
Dennis, I agree with you.
I agree with you too. 110%.
You do what's best for you. I mean, I'm more of a person that it's like buying cars. I bought a used pickup truck one time.
Yep.
And that was from my own brother-in-law. And it had issues. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
And after that, it was like, never again. People talk about, when you run it off the lot, you lose so many thousands of dollars. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to take that key, put it in ignition, start it, and go. You got two choices. You either pay the bank or you pay the mechanic. I'd rather pay the bank.
I'd rather not even pay the bank if I don't have to.
Well, I am too. I screw, but I mean, that's me. So, I mean, I'm just saying that Dennis, whatever his financial income is or whatever.
Hey, Dwayne, that's called being self-sustainable.
Yeah. And Dwayne, you know what, Dwayne? That's how I run, the honey business and all that, where I sold nukes and sell honey. This year, I'm going to be selling queens, hopefully. And people say, oh, like my hive lifter, that's an expensive piece of machinery. I said, the bees paid for it. I didn't pay for it. They did.
Yeah. So
that's with anything that I buy. I keep a running spreadsheet of what my expenses is every year. And I spend thousands of dollars every year.
Yeah.
In equipment, you can do that. You buy what, 15 supers and with frames, there's hundreds, there's a $500 or $600 easy.
Yeah. Right, easily,
if not more.
Yeah.
But like I say, my bees pay for that. And I always equate it to how many pounds of honey am I spending?
Yep.
And that's just the way I've done it. Now I have to say, I've been at it 16 years, and I'll have to say that like the first 5 years, it took me 5 years to break even, I guess you might say. And those 5 years, that's when I started growing. And I find that you got to get up around 10 hives, I'll say, for it to start making money and, and be self-sustainable financially.
Yeah. So Nancy, there's a trick to using plastic frame. And if you buy the plastic frames, that already have at least a double dip coat of wax on it. When you put them in the hive, and if you're going to put bees on them immediately, spray some sugar water on them. You don't have to add any wax to them. There's plenty of wax on there for them to draw those frames out on each side. That's enough. You don't need to add anything to it.
And Clay there, he had a corded machine.
Yep.
And he got himself a battery operated
Yeah.
machine. Now, see right there, I'm different. I bought a Pro Vap, I don't know, 6-8 years ago. And at least 8 years ago. Well, whenever they came out, I'll put it to you that way.
Oh, that was
10 years ago.
Yeah, a little bit sooner than that. I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago when they came out.
Well, Obama made OA legal. So whenever he was in there. Anyway, I bought a Pro Vap, and it was more or less $500. And at that time, Man Lake sold them $4.99, I think, $4.95, whatever. And first I had an inverter on my truck, and it took a long time for that thing to heat up. Then I had an electrical guy come in and say, hey, yeah, it does it. When it says the inverter's 5,000 watts or something, he said it doesn't boost it up to 5,000. It can convert the sine wave. And so he said, but it'll take out your alternator after a while.
Yeah. So Pro Vaps gained popularity and awareness globally in 2010.
2010.
They got popular after e-cigarettes came out.
So that's what, 15 years ago?
Yeah. E-cigarettes came out in 2003.
Well, I don't think it was 15. I've had it. I don't think it's been that long. Maybe it has, but no, it can't be that long. No, I didn't have it. I mean, I've only had it maybe 10 years. But anyway, what I was getting at is I went ahead and invested into a Honda mini generator, the little teeny one, the suitcase job. And I still have it. I still use it. And it's like you can either switch over to a battery operated, then you got to buy the batteries.
Yeah.
And then every time I go get a drill around this place, the darn batteries are dead. So I'm like, forget it. I'm going to keep what I got. It works. And all I got to do is put gas in it. And the only thing I do is I drive to Pennsylvania, which is 30 minutes up the road, and go to the gas station up there that doesn't have any ethanol in it. And I buy a 5 gallon or about 5 gallons of ethanol free gas.
Well, you have to bring the gas can down here when you come, Charlie, because there's the sheets right here, right across from the store.
Yep.
Sells regular gas with no ethanol in it.
Well, our crappy state of Maryland, they won't allow that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what I was getting at is I'm still using cord and an extension cord. It works for me. It's what I got. I'm not going to spend any more money.
Yeah.
I'm like the rest of them. I'm to a point where I've got what I need. And I buy my treatment products for my mites. And I just kind of try to hold off on buying anything unless I absolutely need it.
Yep. So I've got the old Larabi's, the big one that looks like the toolbox. So I haven't bought a new one yet. Not until I wear that one out.
The corded job?
No, the very first battery one they came out with.
Yeah. Ryan, what are you doing? Made 13 splits today, three more yards to go. Ryan, how many hives do you got? 54. Better you
Wow.
than me. I have a hard time managing what I got.
Roy just built a feeding rig. You know, people are always coming up with some innovations that they can use to save time. So I got one of them.
Yeah, that's what I did. I went up to Tractor Supply years ago, and I got to the point where, I mean, I couldn't keep up when it came to feeding and buckets of honey, or not buckets of sugar water. And so I've got, luckily for me, they had a 40-gallon sprayer tank with a pump on it. Return. The guy wanted booms, for like a boom sprayer. So I got it, I think, for like $90.
Good
Normally,
night, Sandy.
Sandy going out.
Yeah.
There is.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, y'all. How are y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing good.
Good deal. Is it raining up that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pouring down here right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to set in Wednesday and rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're expecting, they said, 15 inches of rain in 4 days.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I've got sales coming off tomorrow going in the incubator and was planning on doing splits starting as soon as I can, but it ain't gonna happen. So I guess I'm just gonna hatch them out, put them in a bank, and hope for prettier weather.
There you go.
Where are you at now, Mark?
I'm in Russellville, Arkansas right now.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm at the Denny's.
Is the Denny's at the truck stop?
Yeah, the Flying J.
Flying J. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get that kind of rain up here. We're going to get overnight showers or storms. That's it.
Yeah, I think all that's going to stay west of us. I hope it does anyway.
Worst thing is I got my potatoes planted, and I planted my sweet corn, and I probably shouldn't have. So it's probably going to get washed out of the ground. I have to replant again.
Jonathan wants to know, how long can you bank queens for?
I have no idea. I guess you could bank them a long time, but they wouldn't be worth a crap.
Yeah, I've heard, what is it? Their reproductive system kind of like shrivels up or shuts down or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. If they're virgins, if they don't go out within so many days, they don't seem to do, their reproductive system doesn't seem to do very well.
I don't have a problem banking them for a week, maybe a week and a half, but any more than that, I've never really done.
Right. And Brad
Simply
said,
because I've got more coming off the next week, so I got to do something with them,
Yeah.
Brad down in Louisiana said that they were flooding down there where he lives. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Kathy.
I'll get in early tomorrow. Well, early, probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening. I'll have some time to do a few things, but it's going to set in Wednesday, so I'm not going to drop any sales. If it's going to rain for 4 days and get cold, I'm not going to drop any sales in nukes. I'm just going to wait and hatch them out.
Yeah.
Hope says he wants to know, Mark, how many cells you think you can get drawed out in a pack 6-frame nuke? I would say, my experience, in a 5-frame nuke, if it's really good, I can get 30.
Yeah,
if everything goes well.
Yeah.
If you got it primed up good, yeah, 30's fine.
Yeah.
I got to do some grafting tomorrow. I've got 4 builders primed up, ready to go. I'm going to do 160 grafts tomorrow As soon as I get in, I got to pull frames and get ready, go in the shop and get that done, get them in, and then I may have to juice them up. And then I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do after that. Hopefully, I'll just get that done. If I get that done, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So did you
Y'all
hear
was
what I was?
talking about treatment. I didn't do a whole lot of treatment this year because y'all know I'm pushing that VSH pretty hard, and I'm not. I don't put all my eggs in one basket per se. So I've got a lot of bees that they didn't come from Corey stock. They were my stock originally, and they bred back and forth. So I thought I'd push them a little harder this year and see what the results were, and that will tell me more about what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I did an apricot treatment. I just did one apricot treatment back earlier, like August or September, and then I did one OA in early December, vaporized, and that was it. I've done nothing else, and I can tell the difference. Uh, I'm going to pay for it for sure. The ones that don't have what I want, I can tell the difference. I'm seeing a little bit of wing issues, not overloaded with mites, but still don't look like they should look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not just, put it this way, I was dependent on that brood, and I don't think I'm going to have the amount of brood that I really need to do what I want to do because of that problem, right? So I'm thinking about going ahead and run another treatment on them and clean them up before this honey flow gets started good. I think our flow is going to start in about 2 weeks.
So David Hodgkins had a good question. Said, how often do you do harbo testing?
I just do it once a year.
Yeah.
When my honey comes off.
Yeah.
Do you do that new thing out? What's it called?
UBO.
UBO.
Yeah.
I've got some good UBO tests. I've got some in the high 80s. I've got some in the low 70s. But some of them high scores I wouldn't want to breed from because they're just, they tend to be a little nasty.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find that balance for me has been hard. Of course, when you work 70 hours a week, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to do
It's hard
anything.
to find that balance.
Right. So, but I've managed to do pretty well. I know which ones I want to graft from. I've got about 10 that are my personal best that I really like. That's what I'm going to grab from. Whether they score high on UBO or not, that's the ones I'm going to grab from.
Yeah.
Everything's a trade-off. You can get a high score over here, but I wouldn't have it. And she might be outstanding too. You just,
Yeah.
you don't ever know.
Yep.
So it just all in how the ball bounces, right?
Yeah. So the UBO testing, I asked a few questions of Phoebe Snyder the last time I saw her. I said, because they tell you not to do it first thing in the spring, they tell you to do it more towards end of May, middle of June when
Yeah,
you do
get
the
several
UBO testing.
hatches. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want several
Yep.
hatches.
So she said the best way to do the UBO testing is to do it in conjunction. Do the UBO testing and then do harbo testing afterwards and compare your results. So
Well,
it gives you a better idea of what's going on, I think.
Mhm.
I think the UBO test is a great deal. I really do. I hope it I hope they keep going with it and get better at it. I think it's going to help us a whole lot on disease resistance.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's going to really help. This is my experience.
Well, they, there was some controversy about the UBO. They didn't, the results weren't like what they thought they were going to be the next time they did it. And have they reworked that test a little bit as far as how to, I'll say they tweaked it more?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
she has. They've changed a few things.
Yeah. And see, before everybody was doing it in the spring. And then they came out with new literature and everything. And she said, no, it's supposed to be done in the May, middle of June, in that window in there.
Right.
Because you get more cycles of brood through there, and then the bees get used to it, and you do your testing then, and then after you pull your honey, you do your harbo testing, and then you compare the results, and you come up with a happy medium in there. Because if your UBO testing is, let's say, at 70%, which is really good, that's a good result, and your harbo testing is, say, a 2 or 3, or maybe a 3 or 4, you got pretty much, you've got some hygienic bees.
Yeah. Yeah, the true test is Mother Nature.
Yes.
That's the true test. And like I said, I'm paying for that test because I'm not going to have the brood that I need, right, to do what I want to do. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm one leg up now.
Yeah.
I know where I stand.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good thing. 1 year of less brood is not going to kill me. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But I still only lost one hive over the winter.
That's pretty good, though. Only losing one hive. That's good.
And it wasn't due to sickness. It was just the isolation, starvation, basically.
So did you move that other hive you were telling me about?
No, they've kind of calmed down a little bit now. I got into them and I perked them up, but yeah, of course, I fed them. That helped some,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shoo, for 3 or 4 days there, you couldn't even go out in the yard. They were mad, and all I did was take the queen away and I shook some more bees on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never had a colony just flip on me like that, just from taking the queen away. I've had mean colonies. This colony wasn't mean at all until I took that queen away, and it was just like a light switch. I'm like, what in the world? They followed me all the way back to the house.
You should have dropped some queen pheromone on them.
Well,
I want to say hi to Matt.
Gasoline on them.
Want to say hi to Matt and somebody new, Pete Morris from Colorado. Seems like Brian might know him.
Yeah, he might.
Brian, Pete's going to talk about the snell grow boards. That'd be interesting. I'd like to hear about that. Is he in your area?
Hey, Tom.
Hey. David's down there in Mississippi, I think.
Yeah.
My helper called me and said he has trouble with his heart, so he's not going to show up tomorrow. I think he's done for the year. I think he's throwing in the towel. He can't pick nothing up, can't do nothing. So
really, that's not good.
No.
How old
and he was
heart problem or what?
Yeah, he's on up 70. I forget 73, 74. And he was doing an excellent job grafting last year. He got 27 out of 30 good ones. His first graft.
Well,
Really?
there you go.
Yeah.
There's your grafting guy.
Yeah,
You know,
there's your grafter right there. That
why
way
don't
you
you
don't have to do it anymore.
let him do that, and then you
Yeah.
can do the other stuff or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think he's even going to show up to do that. I've got a table set up for him ready to go, but I don't think he's going to show. We'll see. He works on clocks, so he's used to real fine, detailed things, you know. And he's got the eyewear and everything where he can see good.
Yeah.
And I, that experience alone goes a long way with grafting.
Yeah, it does.
Little stuff, yeah, of course, I was there coaching him on last year. I walked in the house and ate supper and just let him do what he did. And went out there and he had 27 out of 30. I'm like, yeah, that's excellent. You did good.
Yeah.
But that was the one and only one he did last year.
Really?
Yeah, and I really need him this year, trying to do 160, 200 a week.
Mm.
So,
Well,
I'm gonna have to get some young blood in there.
there you go.
Yeah.
You need to get your son or your daughter out there and let them start grafting.
Yeah, right. Getting my daughter out there, yeah. Okay. I come there get my wife out there than I would my daughter.
Yeah, women are supposed to be good grafters. They're supposed to be good at it.
I guarantee you they would if they would just get out there and do it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Getting them out there.
That ain't the hard part. That's the easy part. That's the fun part.
Yeah. Get them out there, cell builders up. That's a different story.
Right. That's the hard part. Getting that right. Keeping it primed.
Yep.
Yep.
You got to let them cook the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Well,
my first one this year, I actually killed the queen. I don't know what happened. I guess I rolled her out there when I was looking at them.
Come on in, Pete.
So next week I went in that hive and had a super procedure sale. And went to another frame, had another one. I'm like, oh, I must have killed this queen.
Yeah.
So I tore them down. That was my first builder. I added some more bees to it. I dropped 40 in there and got 32 on my first round. Of course, I was in a hurry. It was getting dark on me.
Yeah.
You know how you do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors involved. But there's 32 good ones. I just wish the weather would clear up where I could do some splits.
Yeah, me too. Come on in here, Pete.
Yeah, let's talk about snow groves.
Let's talk about the snow grove boards.
He said we met each other at Nobby this year. I met so darn many people. Not that I try to remember everybody, but
yeah.
And say Tom had, he had a 3 FO tornadoes.
F0 tornadoes.
Yeah, it's fixing to get bad all across there this week.
Yeah.
End of this week.
Yeah, Nancy, mine are not quite that bad, but I mean, I was disappointed in the amount. I mean, the bees look good on the top, of course, once you're digging into them. And one thing I did see, and I was worried about feed and, honey, and all of them pretty much had plenty of feed in them.
Yeah.
They didn't really need the sugar bricks like I thought.
all of mine that I went into, they all had a couple of frames of pollen. They had
I had plenty of that.
it had in the center 4 or 5 frames with nothing but brood, and they were working on the others. So,
Here he comes.
hey Pete,
Hey, Pete.
Can you hear us?
can you hear us, Pete?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
good.
I don't see myself in it.
Your mic's muted now. There you go.
Yep.
Now it's
Muted
muted again.
again.
Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got you.
I don't see you come up on the screen there. I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm doing wrong.
you got to turn your camera on.
Turn the camera on. There you
There
go.
you go.
Am I on now? I don't see me on the screen.
Yes, you're on.
You're
Your
on
camera is working.
Okay. Well, I came on chat like Brian said before, Navi. I think it's on Joey's chat. Just to introduce myself, because Brian kept saying, "Hey, come on the chat, introduce yourself. You know, you're part of the No Life Beekeepers. Introduce yourself." So, I mean, I hang out on the chat about every night. Every once in a while, I'll pop in, and I just don't talk much. I'm just not that active typing it in. I guess by the time I type it in, the conversation's over. Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to do this about every year. I go to we got a big club here. It's South Metro Denver. It's called the Southeast Beekeeping Club, and we're on the south east side of the Denver metro area. I'm located in Franktown. It's south of Denver, east of Castle Rock. I'm kind of on the Palmer Divide. We're kind of in a pine forest. It's not very good foraging where I'm at, but it's I usually raise bees here in Queens, and I have an out yard at a student's house in Foxfield, which is lower elevation, closer to Denver, and that's where I get my honey. But locked up, you guys. Yeah, snow grow boards. They're wonderful. I've been using them for several years.
I know
Whether
what
it
they
be a
are,
double
but
screen split board, a Demaree, snow globe, I use them all. It just depends on the situation. Snow globes are really nice. Are you still there?
yeah,
Yeah.
we're here.
Oh, what did I do?
As we see you.
We got you.
Are you on a phone?
Yeah.
You're good.
You're good. Keep talking.
Oh, yeah, me so.
Nope, you're fine.
You're good.
It ain't working.
He must have muted us.
Yeah.
Or did you? You Pete, can you hear? He took us
Well.
out.
He'll be back. Hang on, Darren. He'll be back. Darren was going to go to bed till he heard somebody talking about a snow grow board.
Popping back in.
Not yet.
But I urge anybody that does a early inspection on their bees is pick that larva over real good. Look at it real close.
Yep.
Look at your bees real good. Look at your drones hatching out real good. You know, it's going to tell you what's wrong with your hive if there's anything wrong.
Yep.
I had one. I got those medium drone frames in there. One, it was just full, capped off, both sides. Yeah, here he comes.
There he's back.
There you are.
I don't think I was ever really on last time. I couldn't see
Yeah,
myself.
you were on.
You're fine, Pete.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay, so I started ranting my rant about the snow grow boards. I love snow grow boards because it gives you so many options. But the only thing is when Snowgrove wrote that book, and way back when. It is so hard to read. It is so hard to read. And Wally Shaw in the Welsh Beekeepers Association, he wrote out a PDF that makes it so much easier to understand. And I found that in that Welsh Beekeepers Association, they got so much good information on there. But it's the many uses as a snell grow board. And what's good about the snell grow board is you could catch them pre-swarm mode. Like if you just want to, like, got a booming colony and you go in there and you got, 8, 9 frames of bees and you want to knock this puppy down, just put the queen down below and all your brood up above, kind of like a Demaree, except you're just separating the workers from the queen and the foragers. And then you have these doors on the snell grow board, which is so confusing for everybody. But the only purpose of it is to siphon back the foragers downstairs. So every 5 days you do a door manipulation, and you're siphoning these foragers as they emerge and get promoted from nurse bees to foragers. You route them downstairs to the downstairs colony to boost up the foragers, so where you could get a honey crop too. So they're really good at slowing down the swarm impulse, and they're really good at boosting up the foragers so you still get a honey crop. And if you go in there and you find queen cells, then you go to a modified 2 where you put your queen upstairs for 10 days, and you have to go back in and knock down queen cells and everything. And then after 10 days, you just swap it back. It's kind of a process. Every time I do one of these things at the bee club meetings, everybody's eyes glaze over, and it's just half of them right over their head, because as soon as I start talking about the doors, I just lose them. But after you do it, if you could pull that PDF off the internet and read it about 10 times, because 2 times won't do it. After you do it a couple times and start realizing, what are you doing? You're trying to boost that workforce downstairs. You're trying to break that swarm urge. You're trying to manipulate this so everybody's spinning. Are we still here?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. You're just trying to manipulate the hive. But I don't come on these chats very often. I'm a lurker. I'm always there in the background. I log in, I say hello to everybody, and then I listen all night. But I've been beekeeping, I don't know, going on 9 years. And I'm just a backyard beekeeper. These snell grow boards don't work for the commercial guys because it's just too labor intense. And like Bob Benny, he loves these double screen split boards. He loves them. All the many uses of a double screen split board. It's the same thing as a snell grow board, except you're not doing the door manipulation to siphon them foragers downstairs. That's the only difference between a snell grove and a double screen split board. Because once you make your split on a double screen split board, you're committed. That's what you got. Because all your foragers are going to go home right after the split, and what you got upstairs is all you got. Where a snell grove board, you could manipulate that top box to siphon them foragers downstairs as they get promoted upstairs. It's a tool. I've used it several times. Sometimes I get lazy and just the double screen split board works better. Like you go out there and you find queen cells, and like I try it in swarm season, I try to go out into my colonies, once a week, just like a good beekeeper should, a responsible beekeeper. I find queen cells. I find the queen. I'll put her in a nuke box, and I'll put queen cells above a double screen split board, queen cells below the double screen split board, and I'll make 2 new queens. It works so good. Bob Benny can't say it any better. And just for doing splits, just for making a nuke, making a small nuke above a screen board in this time of the year where you have these cold nights, it's hard. It's hard in Colorado because, man, one day we'll have 70-degree weathers, and boy, the next day it's snowing. It's a real challenge. I'm at 6,400 feet here in Franktown. So beekeeping is different than where Brian's at, because he's down in the Denver metro area, about 5,400 feet. Brian, I'm something like that, mile high. But yeah, I'm about 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks behind behind even my out apiary in Foxfield, which is South Metro Denver area. But yeah, and Demarees, I did a Demaree, not this last year, but the year before. That thing was so high. I mean, I could barely reach it, standing next to it, barely reach it with the tip of my fingers. It had a brood box, a queen excluder. It had 4 honey supers, a queen excluder, another brood box, a queen excluder, and I think it's 3 more or 2 more, 3 more queen excluders because I let a queen emerge on the top. I put an emery shib in above that top queen excluder,
Yeah,
and
you
that
should don't do
give
that.
give a door for them drones, give a door for that queen to go out and mate. And I had a double queen hive, and I all separated them with queen excluders. That thing was a monster, and I had to work it on painters platforms. But I got way over 200 pounds of honey out of that. 7 boxes of honey out of that thing, and 2 brand new queens. All that bullshit, and the bottom hive still swarmed. you know. But I tell you, double screen split this time of the year is fun.
Yeah.
Double screen split boards, snow globe blowers, Demarees. Take your pick. It's all a vertical split to accommodate the fluctuation in the weather out here. It's just, and you guys got it there. Everybody's got fluctuation in the weather in the springtime.
Yeah.
Springtime splits is just problematic, so that's why I like these vertical splits.
So Peter, what's the name of that PDF you were talking about?
It's by Wally Shaw. It's
Wally
called
Shaw.
Wally Shaw. He's in the Welsh Beekeepers Association. Now, mind you, I pulled this thing down probably about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. I think he's still alive because every once in a while I see him in the background at these here honey shows on these videos from England. But it's the many uses of the snow globe board by Wally Shaw.
I just bought that book. I just ordered that book off Amazon that you were talking about. And it did say that in the reviews that it was tough to read.
Yeah, it's a hard read. It's a hard read. You got to remember how them people wrote back then is how they talked back then. Yeah. And plus, he's it's just it's problematic.
It's I have the link for the Welsh Beekeepers Association up here. Don't put Welsh Beekeepers Association after the // but that's the link there for the for that association.
But I tell you what, they have a lot of good literature, a lot of good literature in that Welsh Beekeepers Association. They've got these little PDFs for like a little handbook. What do you do when you walk out to the bee yard and you find swarm cells? And they talk about just regular splits, snuggle splits, double streets. They talk about Demarees. It used to be a really good source of information. I haven't been in their site in a while, but boy, if you want to get a different look, like us as Americans, we look at our beekeeping a little different than the blokes do. They look at it from a different angle, but I tell you, you could pick up a lot of good stuff. It's just like I mentioned, I hate to talk so fast, but I don't want to take up all your time. But I was watching Roger Patterson. He took over that one website by
Dave Cushman.
Deb Christmas, and I like watching him. Like I say, I like watching these blokes because they have a different point of view on things. And he was doing these Morse boards, so I thought, oh boy, this sounds like an easy way to make queens. A Morse board, and what better name? It's named after me. It's just spelled wrong, but I made a Morse board, and it didn't work too good because there just wasn't enough nurse bees. Wasn't enough nurse bees, and it was set up like a cloak board, except you had 2 halves, like 4 or 5 frames on one side, 4 or 5 frames on the other side, and you manipulate these cloak board type slides to make it queen right, queen less. It didn't work too good for me. I'm going to try cloak board this year. I've been making queens for years, and I'm kind of like Joey. I tried grafting last year. I'm old. I can't see. I had a horrible time at it, but I'm gonna try it again. Like Mark says, it's got to be the easiest part, right, Mark?
It is.
And I tried it and it didn't work for me. And I'm going to try cloak board. I'm going to try grafting. But as a backyard beekeeper, if you get it to be a successful grafter and all of a sudden you got 20, 30 queen cells, boy, that'll decimate your colonies trying to build nukes for them all. But yeah, that's me, Pete Morris, in a nutshell.
Well, thanks for the info. I have a bunch of double screen boards, and I've always used them just for like doing splits and overwintering and stuff like that. But I think I'm going to try them this year on use them as snow grove boards. I tried the Demaree, and that's like it's my apiary is about a 25-minute drive for me, so that was just too much for me to drive out there. It was a lot of work going out there and rotating those boxes around all the time. So I'm hoping.
Now you're talking about a rolling Demaree.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Charlie says, that
right.
Demaree, you have to go out there 7-10 days after you build that Demaree, and you got to knock down queen cells, or you're gonna have a mess. And the rolling Demaree, Tony West, he comes on here every once in a while. He's in Ohio, somewhere like that. He puts out some really good videos on Demarees. And he does a rolling Demaree where he goes in every 7 to 10 days, and he'll go down to the bottom, and he'll move brood up to the top, and he'll take the empty comb up on top before they make a honey super out of it, and he rotates it down to the bottom. And that's the way he stays ahead of the swarm season. But it's a lot of work, and these things get massive. They get massive. But double screen split board, you can make your queens, and then you could split them up in nukes. You could take them off the top. There's so many options, or you could leave them on until after the honey flow, and then requeen your colony down below with them. I use it to requeen my old queens. I try to requeen every year. I did a lot of OTS splits. Listen to Mal Disencombe with his OTS splits. I did that years ago. I had very good success with that, but I like the snow globe board better. It gives you more control. OTS, boy, if it don't take, if you had a double screen split board in there with double chance of requeening, it works a lot better. But OTS worked for me for a long time.
Vincent has a question for you. It's up on the screen. How well does a snell grow board work with a deep medium brood chamber?
I would think it'd work well. See, I run double deeps, and when I do a snell grove, I do it a couple ways. If I got the boxes in the comb, I'll leave that bottom box with a double deep. But if you do a single deep on the bottom, and then the queen excluder, and then the honey supers, well, it's just like a single brood box management. You get more honey. But with a deep and a medium, I've never run that. Here in Colorado, it's not common because usually we run double deeps because we need the resources to get through the winter. But if I was running a medium and a deep, I think I would take and put that snuggle board above the medium and the deep, leave it as medium and deep, and then get another deep above that snuggle board and move the frames up. That's how I would do a medium deep configuration. Leave that big brood box down low because you got all your foragers. It's going to build fast. You got foragers bringing in resources. And one thing about a snuggle board is put some honey supers on it because, man, you'll go back in and you'll find out that, especially if you pull your queen, and them workers don't have nothing to do but bring in honey. It's a tool. It's a tool. It's a very effective tool.
Does the snow grove increase your honey crop the way like the Demaree?
Oh yeah, it does. Well, especially that one I talked about. I ended up running a double queen. Well, that was a Demaree. A snow grove does increase your honey crop because what you have is a double queen brood management. You got a brood box on top, brood box on the bottom, and that brood box on top, when she gets mated, they start putting on honey because it's a single brood box management on top. So anytime you have a single brood box management, once they fill up that single brood box, they start putting on honey upstairs.
It seems like the same thing, really, except with the snow grove, like you're not manipulating the boxes, you're just flipping the door, right? So I mean, really, you're doing it. You're accomplishing the same thing.
No. Snow grove and the double screen split board, you still have to go down and check after 7-10 days and check again, especially if they've already started queen cells. If they've already started queen cells, you have to go back in, especially if you left that queen on the bottom, just to make sure that you knocked them down enough So where you stop that queen, that swarming desire.
Well, you're taking all those bees out, all those frames out of the right. You're just leaving them with empty frames in the bottom, right?
Well, in the bottom, you'll leave the queen with a frame of brood she's on and a lot of empty comb and all the foragers, and then it's a separation of workforce to stop that swarm merge. Anytime you separate the workforce, you take one of the three, the queen, the flyers, or the workers. When you start splitting up that workforce, and you just kind of squelch that swarm desire. So it's not really the same. You do have to go and check, because all my failures on snell grows or double and split boards is because I didn't go all the way back down that bottom box and take another sneaky peek 7-10 days later. Because they'll like last year I did it's a snell grow split, and I left the queen on the bottom, and I thought I pulled her back quite a bit, and I mated a queen on top and getting honey crop on top and honey crop on the bottom. But that colony on the bottom just built up so fast, because once you pull all them resources, that queen gets into second gear, like Lori used to say on bsource.com. You ever read that, Charlie? Remember years ago, Lori used to come out and say, yeah, you put that queen in the same spot and pull all her resources. They just take off like a house of fire and just in the second gear and start laying up a storm and building up a colony. Well, you have to kind of keep your eye on it. Otherwise, they'll take off.
The main thing that I found is when it comes to swarm cells and the queen swarming is that has she run out of space to lay eggs? If she continuously is able to lay eggs, she will not want to swarm, or the hive doesn't want to swarm. But as soon as she runs out of space in laying eggs, not physical space, but laying eggs, that's when the swarm impulse kicks in. So that's why I'm pulling out the cat brood and putting in empty brood frames. She continuously get eggs in there, and the hive gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, more workforce, you got more honey coming in. And then with her laying all those eggs up in that brood chamber area, and whether it be a deep or two mediums, the physical measurement of that space, it manipulates the bees to force them to put the honey upstairs and then
she could only lay up 7, max 8 frames of honey. I mean a brood. You only have a couple frames on the outside of honey. A single brood box management works, but if you're not going in there for a good long time, put two deeps on the bottom and just let her have a lot of space, or go in there on a regular basis just to check on space. But you have to manage it, just like any beekeeping. If you don't manage it, there ain't no do it and you're done in beekeeping. It's either, especially this time of year, swarm season is get up and go season. I try to impress that on my students. I mean, they all want to be beekeepers, but they don't want to do the work. So you got to be in these hives every week in swarm season, or they're going to be in the trees. And then they call me, my bees are swarming. Well, when's the last time you was in your hive? Here it is, swarm season. Well, it's been a few weeks. Yeah, it's management. It's all management. And these are tools. These are tools to manage that swarm season. And like out here in Colorado where I'm at, April 15th to June 15th. That's it. After that, the flows on usually about the end of May, June. And like my hives in Foxfield, they got a lot of linden trees. So I get a linden flow between about June 15th and July 15th. But man, they are so busy putting on honey. They just get out of that swarm mode altogether. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on and talking about that. I appreciate it. Come on again so we can talk about this some more.
Well, I tell you, I get a little nervous coming on. I'm on the stream side of it, so I don't see all the comments. I hope they ain't all laughing at me because I get nervous talking to people. Yeah.
Hey,
I worry more about the paparazzi following me home.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I can imagine a big old long stream of them behind that big old the truck of yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's beekeeping. But I'm just a backyard beekeeper, but I've been doing it a while, and I extensively do research. I always tell my students, do your homework. If you do your homework, you'll be a beekeeper. If you don't do your homework, you'll be a bee haver. You know, and
Darren, did
and
you see what Brian put in there?
Yeah, I know. I was going to ask him. Like, I don't know what club what channel he's referring to.
He's out there. Yeah, but go back up the next one above that, Bill. There's a link right there.
There's the link.
oh yeah, sure, Brian. Just tell everybody, so I'll really be nervous doing it.
Okay.
You did a great job, Pete.
Yeah, and it kind of gets me because the old president, she sends me a little text the other day. I'm not much into texting. Says, "Can you do a snow globe presentation next beekeeping?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah, she's gonna give me 10 minutes." You can't do this. You can't do a
What the hell are you doing in 10
presentation in
minutes?
10 minutes.
Yeah, what you do in 10 minutes, you know?
And that's what they did to me last year. They tried to squeeze me in with a snow globe presentation between swarm catching and everything else, and yeah, it was almost a waste of time.
When are you doing that?
Wednesday at the Southeast Beekeepers Association Bee Club meeting.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ad lib it. I've done it a few times. They want me to do a snow globe, but I think I'll just bring in a snow globe, a double screen split board, and a couple of queen excluders, and just do a presentation kind of on vertical splits. It's all the same thing. It's a different approach. Vertical splits.
Yeah,
There's
trying to find that link over here. And
Bill, before I go, what's going on with the queen rearing class?
26, 27. I got walking drones.
Okay. Okay, well, I got to get up at 4 a.m., so I got to get going. But Pete, nice talking to you, and the rest of you
Thanks
guys.
for coming on, Darren.
All right. Hey, I'll see you guys. I'll catch up with you later. Bye.
All right, nice seeing you in person. Or yeah, you could buy them snow globe boards from Better Bee.
Yeah, I've got. It's actually a double screen board. Actually, it's like a snow globe. It's got the doors on the side. I bought it down at Hive Life years ago, and I've never used it though. I was doing it for more queen ring because it's more like a double screen board. And I'll have to watch your videos, Pete. As far as
Well,
understanding
I'm
the
not a
door.
YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't do videos. It's just what the club puts out, and I think they do put it on YouTube.
I found it on YouTube.
Yeah, and they usually video or meetings. It's just kind of a boring. The trouble of our club, and God bless them, but it's just like a lot of clubs. They're stuck in beginner mode.
Yeah,
And it's frustrating. It is so frustrating because here I'm trying to drag these people out of this beginner mode, and I can't tell them enough that mites, and feed, and then it's swarm control. The three legs of the stool: mites, feed, and swarm control. If you get the mites and the feed going, boy, next spring you better learn your swarm control or they'll be in the trees. But yeah, they're kind of stuck in beginner mode and it's frustrating. We'll see how it works out.
There's a question for you, Mark. Can you see it?
I love the solitude. It's peace to me.
But that's the biggest thing, Pete, is, it's like there's things I've learned here recently, and it's like, why did it take 15 years to find out this information? Why isn't there intermediate clubs or presentations saying, okay, you live in the mid Atlantic area, you need to requeen every 2 years, and here's the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Or if you're down there with Cajun Homestead, with Brad down there, you're down in the deep South where they're laying 12 months out of the year. You need to do it every year.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And you don't hear this, talk in depth. It's kind of in depth, but to the point. Instead of there was one lady out of Texas. She had too much information is what it amounted to for me. But I went back and listened to what somebody else said, pointed out, says, listen to this segment about the queens. And she stated, well, after the first year, the queen egg laying process reduces by 40% on the second year. Well, that's huge information. If you're a intermediate to advanced beekeeper, knowing that kind of background information, then why isn't it brought out in really and to the point type presentations?
Yeah.
I have the same trouble at our club there, Charlie. I try to requeen every year. Boy, last year I had it's a challenge last year, and so I've got 4 red dot queens still out in my backyard. That man, I hope I could get enough brood out of them to requeen them this year. But I try to requeen, and you tell that to these clubs, and it's like, holy moly, they like old Michael Palmer. I can't kill Martha.
Yeah. Yep.
If you don't kill Martha, everybody will be dead.
But
you ain't got to kill her, just set her aside and watch her fade away.
Yeah.
Well, like Brad Hogue, he uses them as resource hives. What you call them, zombie hives?
Yep.
Oh, I love following Brad. I wish he was on here tonight. I've been following him for years, and it's kind of the same path I've been taking. He was doing that OTS wall, I was doing the OTS wall, but he got to where he's got a lot of hives. The more hive, and that's something I noticed, the more hives that people get, the further away they get from all this little doodad stuff that backyard beekeepers do to try to keep their bees alive. Like I went into this condensing hive thing the last couple of years after watching Bill Hesbeck and David Peck do that presentation. And I tell you, I went in hook, line, and sinker on a condensing hive, and it's worked wonders for me because here in Colorado, we're in a high desert, and water is a problem. Water is a problem, and then bees accessing water in the middle of winter is really a problem because they just can't get out. Where any water that accumulates inside that condensing hive, they consume. I've had really good luck with condensing hives. I make these big old 4-inch boxes, just stuffed with insulation, styrofoam insulation. I call them my insulation boxes. On top of my double deep. So, like right now, I got a feeder shim, and I got this I got a double bubble. I use that for inner covers, and then a 4-inch insulation box, and then my telescoping covers. But try to explain that to the bee club, and it's like, new concepts is hard when you're talking to a group like that because they read all these books, and that ain't what the book said. It can't be true.
I got Bill Hesbeck was at our state meeting this past year and got to talk with him in person and all, and also had him Zoom into our club meeting, our local club meeting, and I did condensing hives myself for the first time. Just the upper insulation on the roof worked wonderful. As far as not having the ventilation, I think the bees really liked it as far as having that insulation. But I mean, most if you think about it, like Bill said in his presentation today, you have all these insulated hives, and that is exactly what that hive is. It's a condensing hive. It's insulated all the way around. and all that. You know, and you can close up the vent holes in the top, and
Yeah,
and
that's
all that.
exactly what I do. I close up the vent holes, and I got that 4-inch insulation box on top. Plus, I got an 1.5-inch foam inside my telescoping cover. And I do like Bill Hesbeck does. I do insulate my sidewalls because I'm a backyard beekeeper. I don't have that many hives. I don't have near as many as Brian does. Brian's a producer of honey, and he just um, as old as I am, that'd kill me to manage that many hives. Because boy, by the time I'm done in the bee yard, I'm toast. I'm toast. But you know,
Like me over the last couple of days here, I don't know. I've been running on a half a tank of gas here lately for some reason. I don't know why. Hey, Matt, and but I think you know, I think the main, you know, we're talking about getting out of the beginner mode, you know, thought process of all these things. And where we're at, like Brian and pretty much a lot of the folks here in the chat on my show on Friday night and several other shows throughout the week, is that we're not backyard beat. I mean, in my mind, it's not so much the number of hives, it's what you do with the hives.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like we're not backyard beekeepers. We're sideline hustle entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And we're
There you go.
you're trying to either sell honey, or we're selling queens, or we're selling nukes, and we're trying to produce a product to sell and be self-sustainable financially. By the money being brought in, we can pay for all our input expenses throughout that bee season year and have a small little profit along with it. You know, that we have, as I call it, you have that small profit, which is basically your capital to start next year when you need stuff. You know, like I'm buying my miticides, let's say in January at Nobby or something like that, or I'm getting set up to do certain things at that time. Or maybe here comes, you know, early spring when bee season hasn't started, or you might be buying boxes and buying some paint to paint them or dipping them or whatever you want to do before the season actually hits and all. And I think that's the biggest difference amongst what we're doing here. We're talking about it and we're taking time out of our evenings talking bees because we're in the business.
Yeah, you know, this group here, this intermediate to advanced group, and the thing is look at the amount of people that's on this chat every night, night after night after night. You are training newbies, whether you know it or not. There's a lot of newbies coming on these chats. They fall onto them. I try to tell everybody kind of come on the chat that you can learn more on these chats than you could do in any bee club meeting. And I tell my students, I tell these students that you cannot stay in this bee club and learn how to be a beekeeper. You have to do your homework, go out on YouTube, and I'll give them a whole list like Bob Benny and everybody. Wonderful knowledge on YouTube. It's the best.
There's a chat or a club that I still belong to. Nancy used to belong to it. That's where we met and up in Pennsylvania. And they have a chat prior to mine, and I go in there and it's pretty much newbies. Some of them don't even have bees yet. Some of them might be 2-year beekeepers, let's say. And some of them are like 10-year beekeepers that are still a 2-year beakeeper. You know, that's where they're at. Yeah. And I don't think they'll ever get past that. But what I'm getting at is they, like you say, I asked one of them, I said, now you are listening to Bob Benny's videos or subscribe. Yeah. He says, no. I said, well, you should be. I says, it might not be at your level, but there are nuggets of information that he talks about on pretty much not every video, but a lot of different, there's technique is what I call it.
Yeah.
And all that. And I think, and there was somebody here that, I don't know, talked to me that, you know, that they learned a lot off of, my Friday night chat, but
yeah.
like you say, everybody's coming in and we're helping each other, and we're, hey, I have this problem, and you'll get 10 different ways to fix it depending where you live, because we're a national talk show here.
Yeah, there's not only 5 people here on the screen. You got all the people on live chat just listening.
Right now we have
listening.
100 people in here.
Yeah, and they're all learning. They're all learning. They're all learning off Mark. Every time Mark comes in about his queen rearing, he's a tremendous resource. And you, Charlie, just consistently. And Bill, I was going to talk to Bill and Nobby, but he had his ear in the phone like every time I seen him. Every time I went by his little.
Sorry about that.
Thing.
Now, it's like Clay Burner said there. We're networking. Yes, we are networking. We're a group. We're a huge family. The No Life Beekeeper folks. That's on the Facebook page. We all belong to that. We all come into these chats. And we're this huge national community of beekeepers, and we're actually a community / family. And like when I co-hosted the No Life Beekeeper Pizza Party at Nobby,
I rolled in just a little too late for that. I wanted to go to that, but I rolled in a little bit too late, because that would help me to get my face out there, because people see my name and
we're going to work on that this year.
Yeah, we're going to work on that.
We're going to try to get a bigger room, a nicer facility where it's more comfortable, so a lot more people can come. But what I'm getting at is right there, here we are across the whole United States and Canada. And we had Canadians actually come to the pizza party this year, but we all get together and collaborate and get to know each other like we're big, huge family. And that's what makes these chats on a nightly basis so good. And you're talking about Snellgrove board here tonight, and then Mark here, he's an expert queen rearing guy, that's what he does he's into queen rearing heavily. And he's come on my chat with live video, with 40 some cells out of one hive. Like, man, that's makes you want to jump right in there.
Well, it's a big inspiration. Like Mark inspiring me. I'm going to try this grafting again. I'm going to do it again. I think I might. Yeah. I got to do it this year. And like Brian said about it, what a resource for the Colorado Beekeepers Association. This man goes to every one of them clubs and gives presentations. You guys just see a small portion, but the resource that he is for the Colorado Beekeepers Association, he's wonderful. And he's a teacher, and he knows how to teach. But Brian's wonderful.
And it's not a competition. It's everybody wants to see everybody do good, and
everybody
succeed.
Everybody works together. We're all here to help each other out.
Yeah.
Larimore Farms, if you've got a question, somebody on here's got an answer. I used a tagline there for a little bit. We talk with you, not at you.
Right.
So we're here to help everybody, and we answer questions the best of our ability. And if somebody else has got a better answer, well, they bring it out. That's all well and good. That's what we're here for, to help each other out.
Yeah, but anyway,
I went to that mead tasting thing, and I talked to you there, Charlie. I even talked to Phil there for a while and his kids. Yeah, at that mead tasting thing. But,
that's right. I remember that. Yeah, I didn't stay too long.
Yeah, and I talked to Tom and Melissa. Well, Melissa was too busy talking to everybody, but I talked to Tom quite a while, and I talked to Matt, and it was good. But
are they out in the Colorado or big sky country somewhere's out there?
Tom and Melissa, they went to this here thing in Florence, Colorado. It's Pueblo Beekeepers Association. They had a little conference down in they had it just west of Pueblo in Florence, Colorado, on the 29th. It's just a one-day thing, and so they come out with that and got with Brian and got with John from West Cliff, and I wanted to go, and I was looking at it and I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to drive. And boy, I'm glad I didn't, because the weather was horrible on the 29th. It was raining here, and snowing over Monument Hill. I would have had to gone over Monument Hill to get there, and Monument Hill to get back. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go, but it would have been nice to see Brian and everybody and talk to Tom and Melissa and see Jeff in person. And, just that's one thing about Nobby, seeing all these YouTubers in person. I felt like a groupie with a bunch of rock stars.
Yeah, my sick autograph arm gets tired of signing all them autographs.
Hey, he gets cramps in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You have to sign the legend, right?
what's that, Phil?
You have to sign it the legend.
Yeah,
The myth, the legend.
Legend. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I come up to Mike Berry here in Nobby, and I says, "There he is, the myth, the legend." And he's like, "Don't start that on me." Yeah, it's good to see all these people, talk to them all in person. It's just, I mean, the YouTube community. What a bunch of good, hard, wholesome people. I mean, they're just like me, like you, like we ain't a bunch of hippies and stuff. I mean, we're all just good, wholesome people that's trying to have fun with our bees. Whether it be commercial, whether it be sideliner, whether it be backyard, there's a notch or a niche for everybody out there. And boy, the level of learning is just immense if you just go out there and get it. But you got to do your homework. You got to do your homework.
There ain't nobody in here that wouldn't give you their shirt off their back if you needed
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like when that hurricane comes through North Carolina and Ashby and all that. All the people that helping these beekeepers, I was so impressed. I says, now this is a community I'm proud to be with, the beekeeping community.
Yeah. It's impressive almost. I mean, you're not going to find it too many places and too many other hobbies that you get into. You're not going to find that kind of group of people.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wish I would have done it. I wish I would have started a lot when I was a lot younger.
Yeah, me too, Pete. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. You just have
it would have kept me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. You got to scale it down. You got to do it smart. Like I built a hive lifter like Brad Hoag's. It's the dolly type. And I got the idea off another YouTuber out. I think he's in Fort Collins, Colorado. And it's just an ATV winch and it had wheels and it comes up and down and slides. And it works just like Brad's, but I built it from scratch, welded it up in my garage and it saves my back. I mean, I'm going to be 73 this year and like Brad says all the time, that's his back saver 2000. And I started doing it smart. I use that hive lifter. I have an inspection box that I have on the side. I pull one frame at a time, put it in the box. I don't lift a deep box anymore. Not full of brood and honey. I can't do it. My back will hurt forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be like my mentor. He broke his back.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That'll end your beekeeping career.
It ended him for sure. Sure did.
Yeah. And it's easy to do in our hobby. It's easy to do.
Yeah, I had some deeps, some open, just regular brood comb, and some of it had maybe a little bit of honey in there. And I wanted to move it to there's a back rack there behind that line of hives that I let them rob it out, and I use the brood frame in other hives. And my son's got this. It's a hand truck, and I think he got it from Tractor Supply. It's for moving hay bales or straw bales. It's got a real long, I don't know what you call it, a bill or whatever. It folds down or it folds up. Anyway, I said, that thing might be pretty good for a deep box. And I went around there this morning, and sure enough, you could put deep boxes on there. I rolled that thing right over to where I wanted to put it on a rack. And then,
I got one of those Harbor Freight dollies, and I put a platform on it, a little bit bigger than a deep box. And I just stack up my boxes on that. I don't carry boxes. I don't lift
I
boxes.
didn't like this one here. I was hurting like yesterday, bending over, and I guess not doing that much stooping and bending over and getting things done, and doing a lot of manipulation. And so I put that one box that had a lot of honey on there. And the bees didn't like me. They got me right there this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't have a veil on. I'm rolling it over there to put it on the back rack so it wouldn't create a robbing frenzy. So,
Yeah.
but it turned out the dolly was really nice for that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I use that dolly all the time, moving around equipment. I like to move equipment to my truck and load it on my truck and haul it out to that out apiary where I have some hives. I don't know how these sideliners and commercial guys do these, or like Brian, even all those out apiaries. That's the biggest pain in the butt when I got to do my out apiary. You got to load up everything you got, put it in the truck, take it, work on your out apiary, and then haul it back and unload the truck. Yeah, that's but yet that's where I make my honey, is in that out apiary.
Yep. Nightly.
Nightly.
Yeah, that's my problem of it is, like you say, you pack your truck up, you take it out to the yard, and either you use a lot of it or you don't use a lot of it. And if you don't, then you bring it back, then you got to unpack it. It's like, man, this is a pain.
Yeah. I got to where I just got me a small trailer with like 3-foot sides on it, and I stack everything in there that I think I need. And then when I don't use, I'll just bring it home and I'll park it up underneath the barn, and it's out of the rain. And then when I need it again, I throw whatever I need in there and take off again.
Yeah.
That keeps me from having to unload it 3 or 4 times.
Like Duck River Honey, that Nathan, he went to a trailer setup. He outgrew the back of his truck, so now he's in the trailer setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Clay, I read that post where what was it? A ladder rung broke on him and it put him on the ground. So
Yeah, I've seen that.
Luckily he didn't break any legs or anything like that. And
Yeah.
he's sore, but I know I worked on my bees Saturday afternoon for a little while, then all day, till about 6:45 last night. And I still got one, like I say, one hive out there. I think I need the Demaree, and I did some video work too, which I think that put me behind. And but anyway, I just couldn't hardly go. Got to the point where I just ran out of gas. I'm done and all. So
this is another thing I love about these chats is because you're about a month ahead of me, because last week, a beautiful week in the 60s and 70s, and my bees just ain't building up that much. I'm behind you guys, and this year coming week it's going to be rainy in the 50s and 40s and snow, and it's just going to be a pissy ass week. Well, I need to do some box reversals. That's my first swarm tactic. Is first thing I do is I'll do box reversals, and then once I'm done box manipulation, then I do frame manipulation, and then once I'm done with frame manipulation, then I start doing my snow globe boards I'll super up, and if they're still getting too big ahead of themselves, then I'll start doing my double screen split boards or snow globe boards. But yeah, I'm behind. I mean, here you guys are all talking about.
One good thing about slow brooding up, you don't have to do all the manipulations. It's going to slow you down. You won't have to work as hard.
Well, it's the same thing. It's just a month later. I mean, I know what's coming by listening to y'all. In a month, I'm going to be in the same boat where you guys are at, because especially you, Marcus, you're racing queens and everything. I can't even. I mean, I was out there in Foxfield. It's in South Metro Denver here last week. I think it's last week. And I seen drones walking on the comb, and I was shocked because I'm not even close to that out here in Pranktown, because like I say, we're probably 1,000-foot difference. And that elevation, that's what makes a difference. It's just like John and Westcliff. I mean, I think he's at 8,000 feet. His climate is different than mine. Colorado, and I think they were talking about that in the chat the other night between Tom and Melissa and John about the differences in Colorado from like the Denver metro area the Wet Mountain Valley where John is in Westcliff and me here in the Palmer Divide. This area that we got is called Palmer Divide. It's kind of like a pass, a small pass. It rises up to about 7,000 feet between Denver metro area and Colorado Springs. Well, it just makes a microclimate that's different than down in Denver. But yeah, it's really cool to see, especially watching Bob Benny a month at least. Bruce Jennings at least a month. I mean, or more.
Oh, you're talking about 6 to 8 weeks with Bob.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there you are. I mean, you know what your schedule's going to be because you already watched it on YouTube in the month before.
Norman, where are you at? If you only have 3 warm days. Yeah, I find it quite interesting where you know your elevations and stuff like that, where I haven't got a clue. It's just like, I'm just here, you know, where I guess there's so much mountain range out there. I know that my friend TJ, who was on my show Friday night.
Yeah, I remember that.
He flew out to Colorado with the band last year, and there's a big ski lodge or something on another up in the mountains up there. He flew out and they got off the main plane, then they flew in a smaller plane, and they got out and they got into a bunch of vans and they went up this mountain up in the up I don't know, it's way up in the Rocky Mountains up out there. I guess that's where the Rockies are, you know, and
Yeah, probably up there, Vail or Aspen or Breckenridge or something like that. Did Apophia start setting in?
There's a big, huge bluegrass festival up there, and then there's a cable car thing. They went up onto the mountain. He was shooting some pictures there, and it might be, I don't know if that's called Grass Valley or not, but anyway, some of the houses up there are like $3 or $4 million, you know, if they come up for sale.
Yeah, it sounds like Aspen.
And yeah, all right. Yeah, Telluride.
Telluride. Yeah, it's on the southwest part of Colorado. It's on the back side of the mountains. I went out there this last fall. Beautiful out there, but high elevation, and that's where all the movie stars and rock stars, they buy houses out there. It's like Aspen and that.
Well, they played out there, and I don't know that kind of stuff. But
did they get hypoxia? Did their lips start turning blue?
Not that I know of. But it was just the biggest thing is how much they kept going up and up and up. My God, how long is it going to take for us to get here? You know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You see a lot of flatlanders when they come out here. They don't realize that the altitude sickness is real. It's a real thing. You get up around 10,000 feet and your fingernails are starting to turn purple and your lips are starting to turn purple and you're starting to have a hard time breathing. Before you know it, you got a migraine headache. Yeah, you better drop down a lower elevation because you're getting altitude sickness.
There was a guy here on the mill that came and they had planned this trip, like you say, out to Colorado, out to one of them mountain ranges out there. And like you said, they got up so many thousand feet up. I think he came across the saddle. They were hauling himself back down the mountain.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, you got to be medicated or trained or whatever in order to, you know, meet that air quality and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny here. Quite a few years ago, my son, he's in the Air Force. He's still in the Air Force, but this is probably 20 years ago. And he come out here, a bunch of airmen from tech school and that, and they come out here. These are Flatlander kids, and we went up on top of Mount Evans, and it's probably 10, 11,000 feet. We looked back at them, and they all had blue lips. They all looking lethargic. You guys could pass out on me back here. And we went walking up and started getting electrical storms down below the peak. And this is kind of addictive to Colorado. Start getting electrical storms and the lightning and stuff. And this one girl, her hair just started sticking out, all electricity in the air. And so when you see that, you get off that mountain because you're going to get zapped.
Yep.
Now, Edward Honeybees, he says that Baltimore is 33 feet.
Yeah, 33 feet above sea level.
Every time I go back east, it's like I'm drowning in midair because it's so dry here in Colorado. I mean, we're lucky to get 8 inches of rain a year. and it's considered a high desert. And you don't think of it. You think Colorado, all the trees and all the beautiful snow and everything. It's a high desert. It's pretty dry here.
Mhm.
Now, Vale, is that on 70?
Yeah, it's right there on 70.
Okay.
If you drive over Vale Pass and then you drop down Vale Pass on the west side of Vale Pass, you drive right to Silverthorne and then right to Vale. And then you go on down to Glenwood Springs and then you go to what they call the Western Slope, Grand Junction and that area.
I believe I was going east across there and my brakes went out and I ended up somewhere close to Vale, but I went down a pretty good sized mountain and there was a bridge at the bottom that turned left real hard and I almost didn't make that bridge.
Yeah, a lot of truckers don't make that hill. That's why they got them runaway truck ramps and they use them.
Yeah. Luckily, I got it geared down. That was one of my closest calls.
Yeah, that's what separates the sheep from the goats with the
Yeah.
truckers is them mountain
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah, I had to clean myself up, let me tell you. And you would too, believe me, when you're 80,000 pounds.
When I'm coming down
you're running 120 mile an hour and you can't slow it down. Yeah.
It's scary when you're coming down that pass in a private vehicle and you see this truck screaming up behind you.
Get out of the way.
Get out of his way.
Yeah.
You know he's a runaway truck. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked, my elevation is 460 feet.
Yeah. That's not even elevation.
And I've run all them mountains
twice
out
you,
west,
Charlie.
but
Huh?
that's the only mountain I've had trouble out of is that right there when brakes went out of.
Colorado's got the steepest highways in the North America. They're even steeper to Wyoming and all around us, but we got the steepest ones. A lot more mountains elsewhere, but we got the steepest passes, and it's problematic. It really is. Yeah.
I've been all up in Washington and Wyoming and all that through Lolo Pass from Idaho to Billings up through there. That's beautiful up there.
Like that old country western song about the truck driver coming down Wolf Creek Pass, heading down Wolf Creek Pass, runaway truck, heading in, going to Pagosa Springs. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
Was that
it's an old one.
Yeah, who sang that song? Or it was sort of like a recitation.
Yeah.
It was I don't know, the guy gave him the ghost gave him 10 cents for a cup of coffee, and he went in there and he said, well, this cup's on old Pete, and the whole place got deathly quiet as the song goes. And it says, yeah, you just keep that 10 cents, he says. It was something about the truck, avoiding hitting a school bus or something like that. And Philip, Pete, or Ryan wants to know, what are you building harps over there or what?
Yeah.
Well,
String harp?
The last one I was building was my Texas Deep. So it's basically a deep and a medium all in one box.
That looks almost like a Lane's frame.
It is, but it's the Langstroth format.
Yeah, that Vino Farms. Remember Vino Farms did that bee barn thing here quite a few years ago, and he made them real deep frames, and he reinvented the beehive. Only thing is, I looked at them things and I thought, how in the heck are you going to inspect that big old tall frame? That's going to wear your hands out. I mean, at the end of the day, my hands are cramping because of flipping them frames. You can't do that with them deep frames.
Paramore Farm said that was Phantom 309, that song. That was with I can see his face now. He's got big thick glasses who did that song.
You're dating yourself, Charlie.
Well, so anyway, but I wouldn't C.W. McCall, that's for sure. No. I think, but anyway.
Well, it's been a good chat tonight, gentlemen and ladies.
Well, I hope I didn't come in here and hog all the time. That's
No.
why I hate.
Always
No.
good to have a fresh
You
voice.
need to come
Yeah,
in more
yeah.
often, Pete.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's tough to come in. Brian had to goop me into it the first time. So, but yeah, I hear a lot on the chat, and I says, yeah, I could comment on that, but by the time I get it all typed in, they'll be on to something else.
Red Soul Vine. Yeah, that's it. Red Soul Vine. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's who the guy was. See, we do even country music, history and everything else.
yeah.
But no, Pete, I mean, yeah, come on in. We always
Yeah.
looking for another person to bring in a bunch of different new ideas and stuff.
Yep.
I think I said everything I know tonight.
Talk about things that we don't normally talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me coming on the chat. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. It's all like Charlie said, it's always good to have a fresh face, fresh ideas, somebody to give, answers that we can't. So, but I do appreciate it. So at one point tonight, we had 100 viewers in here. So if you enjoyed tonight's chat, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps us both in the long run. It keeps the channel going so we can provide answers to your questions and bring in new people all the time. So,
and if you know folk like Pete, like telling the people out there at his place to jump on these chats to expand their knowledge base.
yep.
Even if they just do like me, just carouse around in the background and listen, you can learn so much just by listening.
Yep, you can. And don't forget about Nancy's chat Wednesday night at 6:30. And Charlie's going to be on Friday night at 8:00.
Yep,
It's always a good time on Charlie's channel.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time. I know
Yeah.
that. What would that be? That'd be what 7:00 your time, Pete?
What time is his? We're 2 hours. 2 hours
All right, so that'd be 6:00.
difference from Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6:00. Like on this chat, I come in at 6:00, and it's
Yeah.
probably
6 o'clock Mountain Time, right?
yeah. I'm Mountain Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Todd, he's probably just finishing dinner.
Yeah.
It's 9:00 here right now.
Yeah. It's 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. So
Yeah.
I know I've got to get up in the morning and
Well, I mean, you're talking about, you say it's Mountain Time, but yet California is what? In that
It's Pacific time. It's
Pacific time.
Yeah, he's an hour. Todd's an hour difference from me. It's 3 hours from the East Coast. Todd is.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
then
when you drive a
Todd
truck, you
is
have to
3
learn all
hours,
that.
and you're 3 hours too. That's what I don't understand.
No, he's 2 hours.
You're 2
I'm
hours.
2 hours. I was in the Air Force for 20 years, and I was in this 130 outfit, and we flew all over the world, and that's why we go by Zulu time and Greenwich Mean Time, because when you're flying all over the world, you're going through all them time zones, and you don't know what time it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
You could be in the time zone the day before you took off.
Yeah, like my son, he's in Kanina, Okinawa. He's in the Air Force there, and he's in tomorrow already. He's a day ahead of us. Yeah.
So you say is that why I've seen those different war shows or movies and stuff? They call it Zulu, is it?
Zulu time is the same thing as Greenwich Mean Time. You have to have a standard set time to start. And so they start from Greenwich Mean Time, which is in England. And the Air Force refers to it as Zulu. Zulu is Greenwich Mean Time. Yeah. Look, tidbit of information that's useless.
Yeah.
To all us beekeepers.
And then Laramie wants to know, Mark, do you deduct an hour off your logbooks when you cross the line?
No, I keep my time the way it is. It stays the same.
Yeah.
But if you lose an hour, and you still got to make that appointment, so you got to go an hour ahead of time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all timing.
But my clock stays the same.
So Phil, DC's got a question for you. Are you putting starter strips in those frames?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm whacking in these starter strips.
That's what I thought. Okay. Well, everybody, I'm gonna end the chat for tonight. I'll be back next Monday, and I'm gonna try to get on Nancy's chat this week. So depends on how busy Wednesday night is. I've been busy on Wednesday nights here lately. So y'all have a good day. Be safe out there, Mark.
Thank you,
And
Bill.
you all have a good evening, and I will see you Wednesday night. If not Wednesday night, Friday night on Charlie's Bee Chat. Y'all have a great week.
All
Bye,
right.
y'all.
Thank
See ya.
you. Good night. Be